better? Greetings. I'm Bert Baum. I'm Secretary of the Third Mutual Board, and I want to welcome everyone here in the audience and out there in TV land to our Meet the Candidates meeting for the third board. As you know, every year we have an election, and every year we put on the Meet the Candidates so you get an opportunity to meet them. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce David Deering, who is star of Stage, Screen, and our Performance Center, and John Luby, who's going to assist him with the questions. David.
Thank you very much, Bert. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here this morning for this very important meeting. I'd just like to run through a couple of details first as to how the protocol is going to work. Each candidate will be giving an opening statement, 3 minutes for an opening statement, and the sequence of speakers has been done by a predetermined draw. And we have several prepared questions which we're going to ask the candidates. And they will have a 2-minute opportunity to respond. And we also have an opportunity for the audience to participate. John Luby will be circulating with papers and pen for you to write down your questions. And then when you have written those questions down, John will pick them up again. And then those questions will be screened and then, of course, asked to the candidates. And they will have an opportunity, 2-minute opportunity to respond to those. And of course, we'll have an opportunity for the candidates to make a closing statement, 3 minutes each, okay? So with that in mind, I'm gonna ask John to circulate now and pass out those green papers and blue pens so you can write your questions down. And the order of our speakers today, as I said, was by a predetermined draw. James Tung, unfortunately, is not able to be here, but Bert Baum will be reading his opening statement. And then Annette Sable-Soul will be reading hers. Third will be Bunny Carpenter, and fourth will be John Frankel. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our candidates. Bert is going to speak first, and then Annette, and then Bunny, and then John. Welcome, candidates, and thank you for serving. Bert?
Just want to make sure the mic is on. Good morning. I greeted you as Bert Baum, but now I'm talking as James Tung. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. His wife is ill, and he has to be with her, which we all understand, and we wish her and James well. I offered to speak in Chinese, but James felt it'd be better if I did it in English, so I'll do it in English. And when I use I am James Tung. So I am a native of China, and my wife and I moved to Laguna Woods in 2012. We came from a much smaller California HOA, where I served on their board for 8 years. I have a BS and MS in geology and a PhD in geophysics. I am a member of several clubs and use many of the facilities here with great enjoyment. I joined the third board in 2014, where I've been a first vice president and chair of the Landscape Committee. I'm also the chair of the Water Committee. Laguna Woods Village is an aging community with pressing needs to update the infrastructure. Our financial priority should be to care for our homes, yet we are burdened with expenditures reasonably for amenities. I believe our homes come first, and I've worked diligently to provide maximum benefit to our homes. As a geophysicist by training, when faced with an issue, I approach it systematically, gathering information from all available sources. As a board member, I have tackled our water consumption issues in this way, with the goals of reducing our seriously high water usage and conserving a scant resource. I reviewed our bills, identified problem areas, notified the residents involved, and worked with them to cut their consumption. The end result was a monthly savings over the years of $600,000. Most problems facing Third Mutual can be solved systematically. Over the next 3 years, as a board member, I look forward to working with my fellow board members to continue our work of updating and improving our homes and the community. Please vote for me. Thank you. James Tung.
Thank you very much, Bert. It was very kind of you to step in for James Tung. And now I would like to introduce our next candidate and current board member, Annette Sable-Soul. Annette, please.
My husband, John, and I have lived in Laguna Woods Village since 2005. He is an avid golfer who serves on the board of the Laguna Woods Men's Golf Club. He is very supportive of me serving on the third board. I have a master's degree in public administration and a Bachelor of Science in Business. On December 30th, 2016, I retired from the United States Department of Justice, Office of the United States Trustee Program, where I worked for over 21 years. The last 10 years, I served as the Regional Administrative Officer, covering 71 employees in 5 offices in Southern California. For 2 years, I covered 2 regions, serving 142 employees in 12 offices throughout California and Nevada, where I oversaw operations, budgets, facilities, procurement, human resources, security, training, and travel. Prior, I worked as a bankruptcy auditor of Chapter 11s and 7s and performed panel trustee oversight audits. As a director, I was involved with the interviewing and hiring of our current legal counsel. I have attended numerous meetings and talked to residents to get a better understanding of your needs and priorities. One example is security and the use of drones in the village. This policy was revised first and third, then GRF and United. Now only VMS Security or their assignees may fly drones in the village. I am a hard worker who thinks outside the box and can solve problems. Currently, I am serving on the Finance, Maintenance and Construction, Architectural Control and Standards Committees, along with being a member of the Parking Task Force and chair of the Garden Villa Golf Cart Parking Task Force. I will work towards improving security, interboard cooperation, and diverse cultural awareness. I want to keep the momentum going. A cooperative yet disciplined approach is required in working with the boards and VMS to strive for the continuous improvement, repair, and maintenance of our homes. Every organization has a plan for updating technologies and business processes, and I want to be part of the Laguna Woods Village rollout, touching every area: security, IT, energy, environment, and administration. I will continue to strive for the blending of different generations, genders, and cultures to bring energy and fresh perspectives to Laguna Woods Village. Words to describe myself: communicative, caring, committed, capable, curious, and considerate. I am dedicated to the board and to this community. I will continue to focus on the future for Laguna Woods Village. Please vote and vote for me, Annette. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annette. And thank you for your willingness to serve, and thank you for your willingness to continue to serve. We appreciate it in third. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Bunny Carpenter. Bunny, please. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Bunny Carpenter, and yes, Bunny is my real name. Pardon?
Turn your mic on.
Okay. There we go. I am running for reelection as a director of Third Mutual. I moved in Laguna Woods Village 7 years ago because it was affordable and offered amenities that I enjoy. I ran for the board in 2014 because I was concerned with the unreasonable rising dues and poor management of our community. In the past 3 years, the board has made financial achievements such as assessments dropped $250 per manor per month, and meanwhile, the total reserves increased $11.7 million. And then we also spent $2.4 million spending on cost savings for a solar project. During this time, Third Mutual transitioned to a new management company. And I chaired the task force on purchasing, which led to enhancing purchasing best practices, price analysis, project log formats, and I am a vice chair of a landscape committee and also serve on communications, M&C compliance, and the executive committee. My education is in business and purchasing. I have a BA degree in business administration and a purchasing management certificate from UCLA. I also took a lot of classes in government contracting, real estate, and property management. I have brought experience and skills to this community serving on Third Board. While serving on the Third Board, I was instrumental in developing standard terms and conditions for contracts and developing a purchasing policy that is used by GRF, United, and Third. Initially, the review of the entire purchasing process and the contracts were required. Thus, I chaired an RFP study group. I understand the needs of our village, and as a board member, I have been instrumental in helping our board oversee more fully the multi-million dollars we spend in contracts to provide the services and equipment which enable our community to survive and flourish.
Bunny, thank you very, very much. You have been a credit to not only the village, but to Third Mutual as well. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And it's my pleasure now to introduce to you our fourth candidate, current board member John Franco. John.
Good morning. My name is John Frankel. I've lived in Laguna Woods for 2 years and 4 months, and I'm 80 years old. I have my education. I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering and a Master of Science in Project Management from Northeastern, and I'm a registered civil engineer in the state of California, and my registration is current. I'm a retired naval officer, Navy Civil Engineer Corps, and I served my last tour as Public Works Officer and Resident Engineer at a large naval air station. I then spent 20 years with the Austin Company, which is a large design-build construction firm, and I retired in 2001. Subsequently, on a pro bono basis, I became the project engineer to build J. Sarah High School, and then Crean Lutheran I was development engineer for Crean Lutheran High School. I spent 12 years on the Architectural Review Committee and Rancho Santa Margarita for the largest homeowners association here in Southern California. That's SAMLARC. And of minor interest, I'm a sixth-generation Indian Californian. I'm a Garado. The Garados are big in Whittier. They ran the Pioneer Store back 4 or 5 generations ago. I've been on the board for 1 year and 8 months, and I serve currently on 14 committees, including the M&C Committee, Architectural Control Committee, Landscape, Energy, Water Conservation. I chair a couple of task forces, dry rot and parking. I'm on 3 GRF committees, GRF Mobility and Vehicles, GRF M&C, and now the Performing Arts Center Task Force to modernize that facility. And I also do Laguna Woods traffic hearings. As an opening statement, I would like to say I became involved in Third Mutual after moving to Laguna Woods based on my engineering and project management experience. And my project focus has been and always will continue to be engineering and project improvement. My focus as a member of the Third Laguna Woods is continued contribution as a team member to our very care-driven board. Our members put forth a terrific amount of energy to assist our residents in every possible regard, investing many hours each week in an effort to optimize our members' residential experience. The coordination of our committee effort with VMSI staff is critical to board success. It's with great pride that I can sit here with an honest evaluation and sincerely promise that we have achieved and will successfully continue to achieve strong positive results for our residents in Third Mutual. I believe each of our board members strongly believes and practices in the adage, service above self.
Well spoken, John. Thank you. You are more than well qualified to continue to serve our village and our board. Thank you so much. And now we have some prepared questions that we'd like to ask our candidates. And the candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. And I'm going to go in the order that we went originally, and then I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So everyone will have an opportunity to speak first. I'd like to start with the first question, and I'd like to address this question to Annette. Annette, what are currently the most critical issues in Third, and how would you work to resolve them?
I think the most critical issue in Third is security and getting the gates, which will happen in 2018. I think the reason that's important is having those new gate arms will stop gate runners. It will stop the people who come here illegally to use our amenities. It will stop the short-term rentals because it will be more difficult for that to happen. So I believe when people buy into Laguna Woods Village, they buy in for the security that is offered here. And we have a duty to provide that security. So that to me would be the first issue.
Well said, thank you. And I'd like to direct the same question to Bunny. What are currently the most critical issues in Third, and how would you work to resolve them?
Now I'm on. I've been working a lot since I came on the board in 2014. Dry rot has been a critical issue. It still is a critical issue. And even though we've started working on some of the dry rot in the LH21s in the Garden Villa, we still have a long way to go. We are, and our current staff is now working with the board to be able to develop a program, a long-term program, in order to address this issue. We are about to hire a consultant that will come in and evaluate, all of the dry rot issues that we have, and will help us to develop that program.
Bunny, thank you very much.
Yes.
And the same question to John. John, what are currently the most critical issues in Third, and how would you work to resolve those issues?
We have many top issues, none of which are critical, but they are all top issues, and we work on all of them. Dry rot is certainly one of them, and we're working hard to resolve that. Parking is an issue, and we've got to resolve that. Landscape, we have many landscape issues that I could go on quite some length on how we're trying to resolve some of those issues. We have some plumbing issues, not only in the supply lines, but in the drainage lines, and we're coating the interior of the pipes, and that's an ongoing contract. We have some lighting issues. We're buying the street lights from SCE, so we have lighting issues. We have solar issues. We put in 10 new solar panels on top of our three-story buildings. So power is an issue. Signage is an issue on our three-story buildings. And of course, we have residency issues, and I'm very proud of our residency committee is working on those issues.
Great, thank you very, very much. Well spoken, all three of you. I'm going to move to another question now, and I'm going to change the order. I'm going to ask Bunny to go first this time, please. And the question is, how can we improve board residents' communications?
I think we're really, got to turn this thing on again. I think we're really on our way to resolving this issue. This question even came up when I was running on 2014. And what we've done the last 3 years and with this management company, there have been great strides. And I think all of you get the email blasts and you get the Village Breeze, and you get that by email, the improvements that are going on with our website, and the improvements that are being made with our TV station. I can't say enough as how much we've progressed, and I do realize that we need to go further on that.
Great, thank you very, very much. And John, I'm going to ask you this question as well. How can we improve board residents and village communication?
We encourage our residents on a regular basis to attend our meetings, particularly the committee meetings where they have a lot of opportunity to express themselves, and board meetings. And they all have each resident has 3 minutes to stand up and talk and express their interests. And so I would encourage all residents who may be watching this, please attend as many meetings as you can on any issue that particularly interests you. And of course, we have the Breeze. And we have the TV6 that all of our members participate in, and that's a terrific way to communicate.
Great, thank you. And I would like to thank TV6 for setting this up this morning. We rely heavily on TV6, and that's an excellent answer. Annette, I'd like to refer the same question to you, please. How can we improve board residents' communications?
I believe that we are in the process of doing this. I think staff is making great strides in this. I believe we are in the process of doing this, and staff is making great strides in this area. When we reviewed some of the statistics, it looked like 55% of our members were receiving communications via their smartphones or tablets. So we have really, they've really pushed out. IT has rolled out the Breeze, the E-Blast on Fridays. There's Village TV, and the new website's coming. It was supposed to be introduced when Brad did his presentation on last week, but it will be rolling out in a few days. And I think that those things are critical. People will be able to get on their website board agendas and board documents in PDF format. They'll also be able to get resolutions by year. And of course, they can come to the meetings. There's Village TV. So I think we're working on it.
I would say we are working on it, and we have a whole new generation of residents who are savvy, tech savvy, and we need to certainly, as you mentioned, push the IT. Great, thank you very much. The next question is, and it has been alluded to. I'm going to start with John this time. John, what do you think of the performance of our new management company, VMS?
Excuse me. Well, we on the, all of us have been on the board for some time, and so we have an opportunity to have seen what it was like under PCM, and some of our senior members of our board were participants in making the change and encouraging and taking the steps that made that change. We've got a terrific CEO, and he is really working hard and has the requisite experience, and I think VMS is doing a terrific job. The head facilities guy is a guy by the name of Ernesto Munoz, and they don't come any better. And he's a registered civil engineer, and he and I communicate regularly. And for example, on this dry rot thing, we're meeting 3 or 4 times to work out the details of the proposal. So yes, I'm very impressed with VMS, and sure, Brad's making some changes, and sure, we have some shortages because it's hard to get people sometimes. But nevertheless, VMS doing a great job.
Great, thank you. Change is never easy. Annette, I'd like to refer the same question to you, please. What do you think of the performance of VMS?
I think VMS overall is doing an excellent job. The VMS staff has much greater experience than we've ever had, and they're working very closely with all the boards. They are always trying to do things better, improved efficiencies, improving technology, outsourcing the lifeguards to reduce employees and benefits, trying to improve efficiencies of our operations. It's going to take a few more years, but we're on our way.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all three of you. And the next question, I'm sorry, Bunny.
Okay, you want me to speak?
Of course I do. Sorry, thank you. Getting ahead of myself.
I just have to agree with most of my board members here that this is a wonderful management company. And those of you who are not aware that we didn't own PCM and we were not given the privilege of working real close with them. The mutuals own VMS, which makes a big difference. We work closely. Brad's at all our meetings. He informs us what's going on. And I think that this change in rapport leads to a better leadership in our community.
Great, thank you, Bunny. Didn't mean to overlook you. What you said was very
That's
important and necessary. Thank you. I'm going to probably wrap this up with Bert's permission with one more question, Bert. Would that be satisfactory? Okay. This is the last question, and I know you have alluded to this in your opening comments, but perhaps our viewers would like to know why you're interested in committing your time and energy to being a board member. And Annette, we'll begin with you again.
I think I can make a difference, and I really enjoy meeting everyone and learning new things. Every day I learn so much, and I'm an avid reader. I have the opportunity to do that on this board. Working with everyone is wonderful, all the other boards across the way, and meeting the residents and hearing their problems and trying to come up with ideas. And working with people that are so talented. It's challenging, and I think it keeps me sharp, and I think it serves the village, so I'm thrilled.
Great, thank you. Bunny? May I repeat the question? Why you're interested in committing your time and energy to being a board member? You've already served on the board, and you're willing to do it again.
Yes, I am, but I have to tell you what a great board we have. And ever since I was on the board, even though I started in 2014, and we've had some changing directors, but the directors that are serving on third are highly educated, business-minded, and we work as a team. And that makes it enjoyable to work with them. And I feel that by working on with the third board that it's my way of giving back, and I feel I can make a difference.
Great, and so far you have. Thank you. John, same question, please.
When I was with the Austin Company as a project manager, I practiced critical path thinking, which is a way of making projects get performed in the most efficient way possible. And that's really one of my primary interests as a participant here on the board. And I would like to bring that sort of process to all of our work with VMS and to make sure that it gets done in the most optimum, efficient way possible.
Great, thank you. And thank you all for giving your time and taking your time this morning to answer our prepared questions. And now we have some questions from the audience, and I would like to ask the audience to be quiet and respectful of the answers. John Luby will be asking those questions of our panel this morning. John?
Thank you, and thank you, board members, for commenting on your qualities for becoming board members again. The first question I have is a two-part question. It says, we have no quality control department. The department heads are supposed to oversee the work of each department. That is not happening as illustrated by the deplorable condition of our grass. What would you recommend, or would you recommend a quality control department? And B, what would you do to fix the problem with the grass? We'll start with Annette.
Okay, I'd like to answer B first concerning our grass. We have listened to Brad, who has reported to us that we have 6 people out with disabilities on the landscape team, and we have 5 openings, and it's a lot harder to find people right now. The other thing, we live in Southern California where the growing season is probably 4 times the average of what it is in New Jersey or a colder climate. And what they did in order to keep the fire marshals happy was Brad concentrated on our slopes. And every time that there's an emergency or something, he said he noticed that he keeps on pulling off the landscape teams in order to solve the emergencies. And while that does make certain residents happy, it does tend to make our grass grow a little taller. Looking at that, he has assessed it. He's made a few suggestions of how to remedy that problem and keep the grass cut. And I think his solutions are spot on. I don't know how much I can say about them yet because I think he's working on them. And I would like to only for Brad to say it when it's completed and finalized. And it makes total logical sense. And anytime you manage anything, you make, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of, and you have to keep on making adjustments. And I think he's doing that. As far as quality control, yes, I hear you, but this is, we're only 18 months old. And can't roll out everything, and everything can't function 100% in the first year. I kind of allude this to getting a child to go from a baby to kindergarten. It's a 5-year process. And I think that while that's true that that's what we need, I don't know if it's our highest priority right now. That might be the second string. Thank you.
Thank you. Bunny, would you comment?
Well, I am on the landscape committee. And I'm the vice, and I need to turn this on again. I'm the vice chair of the landscape committee. And in the last couple of board meetings, James has made great strides in being able to present exactly what the landscaping committee is doing. Because we have felt that there are a lot of complaints, but the community still doesn't understand just exactly what we're doing in landscaping. So it is true what Annette says. We have a lack of people, and maybe that's good in a way because in Orange County, our unemployment rate is way, way down. And so that's why it's hard to hire people. But I can tell you, Brad is really pushing Kurt, and Kurt is very definitely trying to resolve some of these problems.
Thank you, Bunny. John, comment, please.
We do have good quality control, in my opinion, and it's getting better. First, I want to mention that in the landscape department, Kurt Rahm and his 2 top guys, Dennis and Bob, are doing a terrific job. But as an example of their efforts to increase quality control, we in Laguna Woods have made a census of all of the trees we have here. It's called ArborPro, and it has been completed. And we have a tree trimming cycle that takes about 3 years. And we'd like to optimize that cycle. And now that we have a census of all the trees, we can set up a program which will be sensitive to the species and hit those species more often. So it's the use of the techniques that are available in today's world, and there are tools in ArborPro that are going to allow us to optimize the tree trimming cycle. Our guys care, and that's typical of most all departments here in Laguna Woods.
Thank you. The next question is from a resident that's been here 23 years. It says, over the years, our services have been reduced or completely done away with. landscaping, laundry cleaning, better washers and dryers, more cleaning of the carports and trash areas. And this other one is basically probably more a GRF issue, faster response after complaints to security. So we'll start with John. You want to comment on this?
Our management is sincerely sensitive to the fact that we have reduced services. And Bonnie just mentioned the fact that we have some people problems in landscape. And we're working very hard to fill those positions. We know what it takes to get the job done. And believe me, we have the staff with Kurt and Bob and Dennis to do the work. But there are problems, but we're working hard on them.
Bunny?
One of the things, the top priorities that when this new management company was established is we asked them to please take attention, pay more attention to the resident services. And that is definitely a work in process. We want better responses to people when they call in and say that they have a problem. The staff is working on that. They know that that's a priority by all the mutuals, to be able to get a quick response. When somebody says reduce services, I want to say, which service are you talking about? We know we have problems in landscaping. Compliance is better, And we have ongoing projects, for being able to improve the Garden Villa lobbies. I mean, I can't tell you lists of projects that we're working on and going forward to. The only reduction in any services that I know of to the residents is the GRF services, like the Emeritus and that's the only one I can think of. We have another gym, so we have three gyms instead of 2 gyms, to work with now. So I would really like to know specifically what services that this person is really concerned with as losing. Did I say that right?
Thank you. Annette?
Well, I think lack of proper routine inspections by prior management has caused considerable neglect, and certain deferred maintenance has manifested itself throughout the village. And that's an issue that this company, which is 18 months old, is dealing with. And it cannot resolve all of these issues in 1 year or in 2 years. And certain times, I know for myself, I'm dealing with moisture intrusion and have been for a month. And it's not easy when you go through the remedy, but I do know that they're trying to do this the right way. What they've done is they've made an assessment of how it was done prior, and they've decided that they want to take a more long-range approach. And so it's a little bit more uncomfortable in the beginning, but hopefully, this will solve the problem. In a way, they do an analysis here now, which is really, I very much respect, even when they look at our gutters. They are looking at the fact that they used to clean them once a year, and now like the eucalyptus trees shed 4 times more than other trees. So now we were looking at when we go ahead and repair these gutters, from the weight of what's in these gutters in certain areas, they're trying to come in with a new group who will install either new gutters or do the repairs in a much different way that will resolve the problem. So it does take time, and in resident management services, what Brad has said is he keeps on pulling people from there because now they're cross-trained, and he puts them into other areas to better service us in these other areas. So it's kind of like the initial training, and now he said he is going to stop that. So hopefully that should make a difference for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Bunny, you had another comment?
Yes. One of the things that Third is working on and some of the other mutuals are working on are a handyman service, chargeable services, and I don't exactly know when that is going to start taking place, but we are working on it so that the residents will be able to call and have a light bulb changed at a lot, much less cost than they would if they had to hire someone.
May I have the number, please? Thank you. And now it's time for our closing statements. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to summarize. You've been brilliant so far. I'm looking forward to your concluding comments, and we'll begin with Annette. Thank you.
The caring nature of the people in this community has created the desire within me to make a difference. I have demonstrated abilities to work with diverse interests to deliver solutions that meet the challenges of overseeing a multi-million-dollar annual budget. I want to keep the momentum going. A cooperative yet disciplined approach is required in working with the boards and VMS to strive for the continuous improvement, repair, and maintenance of our homes. As I've said before, every organization has a plan for updating technologies and business processes, and I want to be part of the Laguna Woods Village rollout, touching every area: security, IT, energy, environment, and administration. I will continue to strive for the blending different generations, genders, and cultures to bring energy and fresh perspectives to Laguna Woods Village. I support IT in blending traditional viewing of board meetings with the new realities of modern business technology, viewing online, smartphones, tablets, laptops, YouTubes, and Village TV, with the goal of viewers being interactive attendees. I have a sincere interest in continuing on the third board and being part of the team, striving for continuous improvement, being accountable by planning well, spending wisely, and putting needs before wants. Let's keep Ross Cortese's vision alive: shared cost senior living with a focus on the future, making sure we do all we can to control our assessments and improve our property values. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annette. Bunny?
My career consists of 35 years in buying, managing, negotiating contracts for large corporations. I bring value to Third because my business experience in writing, negotiating legal contracts, organizational and management projects adds to the collective experience of the board. Before I became a director, KPMG audited PCM operating procedures, and it was determined that the purchasing department posed a high risk of liability because of their poor procedures, contract writing, and practices. So to recap, I chaired the RFP, Request for Proposals, study group. I was instrumental in developing standard terms and conditions, updating necessary exhibits, and I review Third contracts for signature. I chaired the purchasing task force, which consisted of members of Third, United, GRF, and staff to create a purchasing policy which utilized my skills in organization, and I am a vice chair of the Landscape Committee. What I envision for this mutual is to continue to move forward, the board forward, and working with the other mutuals and GRF to improve this community. Improving communication is well underway with the expertise of our professional staff, and they are making great strides in technology, operations, and recreation. Serving on the board is my way of giving back and hoping that I'm making a difference. I look forward to continuing my support to the Third board. We are a great team of leaders.
Thank you so much, Bunny. John?
It is my opinion, and I believe my board colleagues agree, that it's beneficial to have a registered professional engineer as an active participant in the many Third mutual projects and improvements that are addressed by the board on a regular basis. The VMSI staff is highly competent and has a terrific leadership. Nevertheless, the third board has a mandate to optimize the VMS effort as it impacts the Third Mutual. I promise that my focus will continue to be in that direction. I feel fortunate to have the health, the focus, and the drive, and the care to be able to contribute within my engineering profession to the historically high professional effort put forth by all of those on the Third Mutual Board on behalf of our residents.
Great, thank you all so much. I have a few thank yous that I'd like to share, please, and a very important reminder. First of all, I'd like to thank the candidates very much for their time and their service. We really, truly appreciate it. As an 11-year resident and a member, as a resident of Third, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And you can vote for these candidates. You will receive a ballot in the mail, and it needs to be returned by the end of September. So please, please, please be mindful of that, okay? I'd like to thank our audience for their penetrating questions, and I'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in this morning. I'd like to thank TV6 for its excellent service and presentation today. And I'd like to give thanks to our current and future Third board members. The future of Laguna Woods Village and Third Mutual, to me, looks very, very bright, thanks to your dedication and service. Thank you so much, and it was my pleasure to serve as your moderator today. We are concluded. Thank you.